The time has come to talk about my injury. If you didn't already know, I tore my ACL back in 2023, and I spiraled, if I'm being honest. That was a really awful injury to go through, and it only intensified my alcohol problem. And during that time is when I put on all the weight, went up like 3 pant sizes. I mean, it was just a really, really low time in my life. So today we're going to dive into that a bit and how I got there, how I got through that, and why I drank to get through that, I guess. Anyway, let's jump right in. Welcome to the Sober Scoop. This is a judgment-free zone where we talk about how to get sober and stay sober. You're not alone. I hope you feel seen. Quitting alcohol is the best decision I've ever made. Okay, so we're going to take it back. I talk a lot about this relationship that I was in that was pretty unhealthy. Of course, it didn't start that way. People are always like, why did you date this guy if he was so awful? Well, it didn't start horrible, okay? It started actually wonderful. It started probably as the best relationship I've ever experienced. I mean, in that relationship, I had the highest highs, but I also had the lowest lows. And it started off like I was just starry-eyed, like, oh my God, like this is my person. I finally found someone that's so incredible, that can keep up with me, that's hilarious, that's athletic, that's like cultured. I just loved so many things about that guy. So if you're wondering how somebody gets into a narcissistic, like abusive relationship, it doesn't start bad, okay? It starts pretty dang good. But then, yeah, as we get to know each other more, he starts getting more controlling, more verbally hurtful, more manipulative. He isolates me more. It got to a pretty bad place. And that relationship was mostly during COVID. So kind of going through that tough relationship while being stranded indoors with no responsibilities and nothing to do. We were day drinking together. And then as the relationship started turning south, I was drinking just to get through life and that relationship. I mean, some of the things that we went through during that relationship were like crazy, and I will never feel comfortable talking about them because they were just so wild. Like, wow. Wild times during that relationship. And yeah, I would say that is what made me start drinking in an unhealthy way. And then after that relationship, I finally get out, which was hard to do. I would say I tried to leave like 7 times before I finally was successful and got out of that relationship. And then, unfortunately, after we had broken up, I was stalked, harassed, had to move apartments, had to change my phone number, basically went dark on social media for quite a while. All sorts of things. Big life changes. I felt like I couldn't even go outside because I was like, he's going to be there. He was showing up at my door. He was calling me like 80 times a day. Yes, you heard that right. 80 times a day from all different numbers, even if I blocked them. He also found my new number once I changed my phone number, which was a very sad moment for me. I felt like it just would never end. So maybe I'll make a whole episode on this experience, but all of this is to say that finally I got the police involved and I got a restraining order, and for 1 month I experienced peace. It was the most beautiful thing. I felt like I finally won. I was so relieved. I finally started like feeling better. I started to heal a little bit from that relationship. My life was looking up. I felt really, really good about the future and like where I was headed. And then 1 month after I successfully get the restraining order and I stop being contacted by this person, 1 month afterwards, I tear my ACL playing volleyball. And I tell you, this is going to make me cry. Oh my God. I almost thought that I couldn't freaking do it. Because I was just like, I just got through the hardest time of my life. I just did it. And then, like, the universe challenges me again with this injury. I was like, are you serious? Like, I just went through the hardest time of my life, and now I'm about to enter another stint of the hardest time of my life. And I know that sounds dramatic, and I'm going to get into this further, but the ACL injury is pretty significant and life-altering and depressing. People say that it's like mentally harder than it is physically. So anyway, oh my God. That moment, basically I injured myself playing volleyball, and I didn't get the MRI until about a month later. And then I find out that it is the ACL, and that just like confirms that this is going to be a really long recovery. Really, really long. And it's going to require surgery and all this stuff. So I just couldn't believe it. I just had to keep trucking, basically. That's what I told my family. I was like, hey, yep, life keeps throwing things at me, but just got to keep going. And it was hard to keep going. Hence why I drank. I drank to get through that bad relationship. Then I drank to get through the harassment afterwards. Then I probably would have considered sobriety after like successfully getting out of that situation. But then I tear my ACL, and that, sends me into a spiral, probably deeper than all that bad relationship stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, time to dive into the injury. So, yeah, it's such a weird injury because here's how it goes. You tear your ACL, and then they tell you that you can literally put weight on it and start building up your strength again. So after this injury, you're technically allowed to just instantly put weight on your knee. I was instructed to start walking, to start stretching and trying to get my flexion, trying to be able to fully extend my leg and then also fully bend it. That was something I was instantly working on. I started using a resistance band to work on the strength of my quad, because when you tear your ACL, you basically like you shock your quad and you instantly lose a ton of muscle in your quad. It's very weird. But here are the instructions. They are telling me that I'm supposed to basically get fully back to health before ACL surgery. So you tear your ACL, and then you are supposed to get back to health before you go into surgery and literally like injure yourself again, basically. Start from square one. It's such a mental roller coaster, and it's not fair. I mean, it's crazy. If I tore my ACL again, I probably would not get surgery, because you can live without an ACL. That's what a lot of people don't realize. After I tore my ACL, I nursed myself back to health to where like I was walking and jogging again and like doing squats and stuff before I even got the surgery to repair my ACL. Now, I know that they recommend surgery because if you don't get a new ACL, like your bones are kind of rubbing together, and that would be bad in the long run. But I was fully almost back to normal. And then they send me into surgery, and I start from square one all over again. Right back to not being able to move or walk or anything. But what an emotional roller coaster, right? Like, I'm going through this bad relationship, then I get out of the relationship. Woohoo! Then I'm stalked and harassed, which is awful. And then I successfully win that situation through a restraining order, and I feel amazing. Yay! And then I tear my ACL, and I'm injured, and I'm depressed, and it's horrible. But then I nurse myself back to health, and it's awesome. And I feel great. And then I go into surgery, and I'm right back at square one, and I'm injured and depressed again. It is such an up and down roller coaster emotionally. Just horrible. So I get the surgery, and you have to be locked in this brace for, oh gosh, I think it's like 2 weeks of it completely locked straight, which is extremely uncomfortable to sleep in, to walk around. Like, think about when you envision somebody on crutches, their leg that is hovering in the air is usually bent. So imagine that that's locked straight. It's very weird. It's very hard to move around. And probably the thing that annoyed me the most was that I couldn't even sit comfortably. This was the most annoying thing. When you have your leg locked out straight and you're sitting at like just a regular chair at a table or something, and you have to have your legs sitting out in front of you, not like tucked underneath your chair, if you know what I'm saying, like your legs sticking out. And that causes so much pain in your groin area, like your hip flexor. It's like it's constantly cramping, and you just cannot get comfortable. When you sleep, you cannot get comfortable. When you walk, it's uncomfortable. When you sit, it's uncomfortable. There's no comfort about this injury and recovering from the surgery. It's really just awful. And then, of course, they do want you getting into physical therapy right away. So you're trying to build up the strength, and it frickin' hurts. I'm not going to lie. Like trying to bend your knee after they let you out of the brace. It's really painful, and it's very dangerous to tear your ACL again. After surgery, it's very easy to tear your ACL again after surgery. It's also very easy to tear your other ACL because you're relying on your other leg. I mean, there's just so much that goes into the injury. But the worst part of it was the mental side of it, which like you imagine you are mobile and active, and that's something you're passionate about. I like to golf. I like to play volleyball. I like to go on walks. Literally every hobby that I have involves physical movement. That's not the case for everybody. Some people like doing puzzles. Some people like doing arts and crafts. Some people like watching movies. I like being active. And I get this injury, and I just can't do any of that. So all of my hobbies gone. Boom, snap of the finger, can't do anything that like makes me happy anymore. So fine. That's kind of consistent with a lot of injuries. A lot of times you can't do the things that you used to be able to do. No problem. That sucked, but yeah, no problem. But then you also literally struggle to do the most simple tasks. And this is where it was really hard and frustrating. So, wild timing. I moved into a new apartment on August 1st, and I tore my ACL on like August 3rd. So I'm away at this volleyball thing with my family, and that's where I tear my ACL. And I come home to my apartment, and there are boxes everywhere. Furniture pressed up against walls, like chairs upside down, stacked together. And I walk into this apartment with my knee all wrapped up and in crutches, and I'm just like, you're kidding. This is insane. Luckily, I had wonderful people in my life. My new boyfriend, who was nice and wonderful. My brother came to town to help me. Like, I had help. But being reliant on other people when I'm such a fiercely independent person is so hard. And I didn't like the way that they did it. I wanted to do it the way that I wanted to. I appreciated their help, but I didn't want to be like, oh, could you move that a little to the left? Oh, could you screw that in a little tighter? Oh, that painting's hanging a little funny. Like, I'm not going to do all that. Obviously, I'm so grateful that they're helping me, but that was frustrating because I'm like, I would have done it differently, and I cannot do it. Then there's things like, I would like to brush my teeth, but it's way harder to get up and put clothes on and go into the bathroom and brush my teeth and try to like balance while I spit into the sink or, whatever. So I'll just not brush my teeth. Like, so many situations like that happened where I'm like, it's just easier to not. Getting dressed was really, really hard. Putting shoes on, really, really hard. Oh my God, putting shoes on was hard really far into the injury. because think about when you're like sliding into a shoe, it puts a lot of tension on the front of your knee, like the bottom of your quad, basically, when you're like pushing into a shoe. So that was really hard, 7 months into my recovery. That's the other thing with this injury, is that it's not just like a broken bone where you're in a cast for a couple months or whatever it is, and then you're good. You do some physical therapy afterwards, but you're like pretty much good. The ACL injury is something that I am still to this day recovering from. Almost 2 years after surgery, like a year and a half, a year and 8 months or whatever after surgery. I am still building up my quad strength. I'm still not able to sit on the back of my heels. Like imagine you're squatting down to get something off the lowest shelf, and you kind of get into that like bouncing on your, like Megan Thee Stallion knees. You're going down and resting your booty cheeks on your heels. Like I can't do that position still to this day, a year and 8 months after surgery. I still struggle to like get up when I'm seated on the floor. My quad is just skinnier and smaller on my left side than it is on my right side. I don't know if it'll ever get back to full strength. So there are things that are just hard. Going downstairs was hard a year after surgery. It still didn't feel normal. Going down a slanted hill, that was probably the last thing that came for me. Going down a hill, walking down a hill was really, really hard so long after surgery. It's just such a long, strenuous recovery. So let's bring this back to the obvious topic, which is drinking. I just drank to get through that time because it was almost like giving COVID vibes where there was just nothing I could do. I couldn't work out. I couldn't do anything. Like, to make life more bearable, I just sat on the couch and drank. And, I got through another day. And then the next day starts, and it's like, I may as well just start drinking. Like, I hate my life right now. Why not? And, yeah, the morning drinking definitely became more of a habit during this injury. Because I was just really, honestly depressed. I was embarrassed going to have to meet new people, and I couldn't do things. Even things like I got invited to go to a pumpkin patch at the end of October, and my surgery was the beginning of October, like the very, very end of September. So basically a month after surgery, I got invited to go to a pumpkin patch with these new people I hadn't met and my boyfriend. So they were his friends. And I'm going to meet them for the first time, and I obviously want to give them a good impression of myself. And I was so nervous about walking, on pumpkin patches. It's all hay all over the ground. And I'm like, am I going to slip and fall from the hay? I really don't want to fall. I can't do anything. I can't walk around the pumpkin patch. I'm going to be crutching around. They're going to think I'm just so lame. I don't know. Everything was difficult. And so I just drank to get through it. If I was nervous about that situation, I would just drink at the pumpkin patch to make it better. When I was bored in the house, I drank so much. I mean, when everything you enjoy doing in life is just kind of taken away and it's nope, you're not able to do that anymore. It's very confusing. And I just turned to alcohol to get through that. And I had already learned that alcohol helps me get through things because it got me through my relationship with that previous bad boyfriend. It got me through the stalking and harassment situation from that guy. Alcohol kind of showed me that it can be used as a crutch to get through life. And so when I faced yet another hard thing, I just continued drinking to get through it. And I cannot believe my boyfriend, my good boyfriend that I was dating throughout this injury, I cannot believe that he was with me while I was going through the restraining order situation from the previous partner, while I was putting on so much weight because of this injury, while I was drinking all day long and getting puffy and ugly and just having a super unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And then I was immobile and like unable to do anything in life. And he stayed with me through all of that. So that just shows you like what an understanding, kind person that guy was. He was really wonderful. But yeah, I used alcohol as a crutch for sure. And that's why I sometimes say that I want to write a love letter to alcohol, because it got me through the hardest times of my entire life. Times where such awful things happened back to back to back that I just felt like, how could I have done that without alcohol? And now I know as a sober person that there are not only ways to get through that without alcohol, but you will heal faster and better without muddying the waters with alcohol. Alcohol is a Band-Aid fix, and it just makes it so you don't have to deal with your problems right then and there. But you will have to deal with them eventually. And that's why it's taken me my entire year of sobriety to kind of physically, mentally, and emotionally heal from that relationship, that injury, that mindset that I had. Like, I've lost a ton of weight. Like, it's just been such a process healing from everything in sobriety. And now I believe that I have the skills to get through my next heartache, or whatever you want to call it, like trauma, or next just awful thing that happens in my life. I'm not wishing that upon myself. I'm not wishing that upon anybody. But I know that I have developed some good life skills in sobriety to where I can deal with things a bit better and in a healthier way that will ultimately get me through tough times faster and better than alcohol ever did. So thank you, sobriety, for showing me life without alcohol and that you can do hard things without booze. Yeah, what a wild time. The years 2020 to 2024 were wild. So much went down. I would say those were the worst years of my entire life, for sure. Just, I went through so much, to be honest, and all at once. And I sometimes wonder if I would have been affected so deeply if alcohol wasn't so prominent in my life. Like, none of it got better because I was drinking so heavily. I was just numbing all my feelings, but none of it was improving. And now, after a year of sobriety, I feel like I've healed from all that stuff. I feel like I've healed from that bad relationship, from the kind of mental turmoil that followed with the harassment. I feel like I've healed from my injury, physically, mentally, everything. And I've actually gone to the gym and focused on physical therapy. Whereas when I was going through the injury, I did not care about physical therapy at all. I would show up drunk to my physical therapy appointments, if I'm being honest, and just do them because I was assigned to do them. I wasn't genuinely trying to get better. And once I got sober, I was building my strength back and actually physically trying to get better after my injury. So sobriety has just given me a new life. And I feel like I am a completely different person than that person in the years 2020 to 2024. Those were bad times, and I wish I hadn't turned to alcohol to get through them, but I did. And that's really how my alcohol problem came to be. It always starts with something or someone affecting you and, just life showing you that you can use alcohol to get through those things. And then one thing leads to the next, and you're not just using it to get through that thing. You're now dependent on it and drinking at all hours and just drinking to exist in this world. And that's pretty bad. My biggest my biggest piece of advice for somebody who still has a good relationship with alcohol is don't drink when you're sad or depressed or going through something hard, because it shows you that alcohol works, because it does numb your feelings. It does let you delay having to deal with those feelings. It works. So I would advise that if somebody out there still has a good relationship with alcohol and just drinks socially or whatever, when turmoil hits, do not drink to get through it. And that is what I will leave you with. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you for the next episode. Bye.